to race these bikes, or who used to race these bikes, sorry, is Stacey Kilworth.
Oh, did he? I didn't know Stacey had a turn on these things as well.
Oh, very successful on them as well.
Ah, right, okay, fair play. Stacey, of course, a regular front runner here. Not having such a great year this year as we get underway. Well, second on the grid is away well. Who's second on the grid this time,
Second on the grid there, Dan Jackson on that matchless G50. That's the Team Siggy Racing matchless G50 for the 137 machine of Dan Jackson. It's getting a little bit tight as he goes into Redgate there.
Doesn't do it. He's in second. I think that was he was being passed under brakes there. Again, these brakes are an interesting word. Use of the word brakes, I think, is probably the best way to describe these things. It's, yeah, the old drums, they tend to heat up just a little bit, so it does make for some interesting experiences as you try to overtake other people. Unfortunately, everybody else is similarly equipped, so it doesn't become too much of an issue. So away they go.
It's relatively spread out there in terms of the top two, so we've got a bit of a gap between first and second, and an even bigger gap between second and third place. Just waiting for them to come in towards the second sector here, but relatively unchallenged at the front of this race as we go over the crest and in towards Coppice then. It's the number 82 machine of Mark Taylor. So Mark Taylor, who took victory earlier on today by less than a tenth of a second, is at the front of this race. Controlling it from the front is Mark Taylor, of course, very successful on whatever bike he throws his leg over. Regardless of its age, capacity, whatever it may be, Mark Taylor will get on it and he'll make it sing. This case, it's the Manx Norton that Mark Taylor is leading on at the moment. Then here they are coming out of Robert Chicane, and Taylor with a healthy advantage over the 137 of Dan Jackson. Dan Jackson ahead of Michael Russell, then Michael Russell in third place. Let's have a look here ahead of the number 22 machine of Tony Perkin. So Tony Perkin now 0.8 of a second behind Michael Russell in fourth place, and it's Heb, Higler, Bain. First of the 11B runners is number 66 machine, and that is Rich Ellis then ahead of Dawson. Then it's the first of the 11D riders, that's the number 49 machine of Richard Han. Then it's third of the 11Bs of Williams, then it's Keane, Thrower, Tong, Hocking, Perch, Bunning, and then the one and only 11C class competitor, the 59 bike of David Heb, and Heb ahead of the number 37 of Ransley. So that's the running order then as they come across the line. Of course, 20 bikes should have been out there on the grid. Unfortunately, the 26 bike of Paul Stephen retiring back to the paddock before the warm-up lap had got underway. So 19 bikes out on circuit as they now make their way towards the far end of the circuit once more, in towards sector number 2, and it is Mark Taylor who initially went purple in the first sector, but then it was Russell who's gone even quicker. So the number 68 machine of Michael Russell, the man who went second earlier on today, just missing out on the top spot by 0.087 of a second. He is the man with the pace, it would seem, in that first sector on this first flying lap. He did drop 2 positions from pole down to third at the end of the first lap, but here they come out of the chicane then once more, and Michael Russell looking to get the run now on Dan Jackson. Mark Taylor extends the advantage at the front of this race to 1.6 seconds, but it is Michael Russell who is the fastest man on circuit. Look, having a sniff of the inside there of Dan Jackson in towards Redgate, but this time to no avail. But it is a 1 minute 23.355 for the number 68 machine of Michael Russell there in third place as they come across the line. Movers on that lap, Heb now ahead of Perkin for fourth in the 11As, and of course fourth overall as well. Further down the order then, Keane now ahead of Williams, Tong now ahead of Thrower, and Williams, Tong and Thrower relatively spread out there on circuit between Williams and Tong, but Thrower only 0.4 of a second behind the number 17 machine of Stuart Tong, and of course that is an in-class battle for the 11B. That's fourth and fifth place in the 11Bs. Hocking only a further 0.4 of a second behind Thrower in sixth, then it's Perch 7.9 seconds behind them. But the race leaders now making the way once again over towards the far end of the circuit, in towards sector number 2, and again it's the fastest first sector time of the race for the number 68 machine of Michael Russell. The man who was so close earlier on today goes purple once again in that first sector, looking to improve on that 1 minute 23.3 and find a way past the 137 machine of Dan Jackson. So they're coming in towards the Robert Chicane now and onto the front straight once more. Now, is it the 68 or the 137? Well, leading the way, it's Mark Taylor on bike number 82. Then it is the 68 of Mike Russell with the 1 minute 23 flat, and he is lapping 0.4 of a second quicker than Mark Taylor. So that would suggest with a 1.3 second gap and lapping 0.4 of a second quicker.
He ain't going to do it then.
It's going to be very, very close.
No, I think it will be very very close indeed, because before we go thinking, well, he's hasn't got enough left in the tank. Unfortunately, if we look at the lap times from earlier today, Russell's into the 22s as well, so 22.3 as well. So basically 0.6 of a second quicker than he's going at the moment, mate. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him trying to top the tree once again from Mr. Taylor. But of course, Mark already got the 25 points on the board from earlier as well. So yeah, definitely Russell and Taylor battle there in the 11A class. But no, Graham Higlett's also doing very well in the championship there, and Higgy made up 2 places on that particular lap. He's into the high 24s at the moment. But again, he was somebody who went a little bit quicker. No, he didn't. He did a low 24 earlier, so he didn't quite crack the 23 bracket. So clearly the Donington circuit not hooking up as well for him as some of the other circuits. However, let's wait and see if he can pull something out of the bag. But as we speak, Russell does indeed go purple out the back there. Taylor, though, goes green, so he's definitely still pushing on very hard indeed as they make their way to the line once again. It was 1.362 over the line last time, and it is out to 2.1, because all of a sudden we're talking about Russell and Jackson maybe going a little bit quicker, and all of a sudden Mark Taylor comes up with a 22.9. He goes Russell.
Well, that's the fastest lap of the weekend for Mark Taylor there. Previous, of course, earlier on today in the race, he went 1 minute 23.1, so he's gone 0.2 of a second quicker than what he's managed so far throughout the course of the weekend. Now, the race leader is just making his way through the old hairpin now and getting the power down once more, throwing it left underneath where the bridge used to be, under Starkey's and then through towards Schwantz and McLean's. But the second time there, as we mentioned, is on the rise up in towards Coppin, so a little bit of time left before we get to that point. But a 2.1 second advantage with 1.5 laps to go between Mark Taylor and Michael Russell. It could not be, this is Mark Taylor's race to lose, Keith.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's only got 2 laps left in this race as well. He does go yellow in sector 1, but then so did Russell Jackson behind him as well. He's managed to go a little bit quicker, takes just 1/10 of a second or so off his previous best time. A couple of the back markers just coming over the line. They might have a role to play in this race, actually, because if you look at the times of our leaders, they're going around about 20-odd seconds quicker, and there's 2 laps left in the race. So could be somebody's going to play the back marker shuffle. I'll tell you what else is going on. There's a serious bit of slipstreaming, because all of a sudden that 2-second gap has just disappeared. Oh, actually,
no, that's the one between Jackson and Russell. Yes, sorry. Take that gap between Taylor and Jackson now.
Yeah, I wonder if Russell's running into some problems, to be fair, because you look at that time, he's done a 24.9 as against 24.5. Maybe he just had a bit of a wobble somewhere. It doesn't take very much to lose half a second around here. Green also for Higlett there in 4th place. No, you're right, sorry. Such was the gap that Mark Taylor had, and really wasn't prepared for just seeing quite that enormity of a gap. So great lap time from the 22.9. So that's obviously the very hot pace around here into the 22s. The rest of the field come over. Tony Perkin there still holding on to 5th place without the jump start this time. That's all good for him. Then it's Hebb, Bain, Ellis, Hand, Keane, Dawson, Williams, Tom, Thrower, Hocking running the line to complete your top 15. Just waiting for them to look. So I think there was a change there. The lights changed around the other way there for Russell and Jackson, mate. So they did actually swap places, but we are talking about fractions of a second there. Everybody going yellow. And this will be the last lap, of course. So the hurry-up flag has indeed gone out to the gang to let them know that it is time to play. Don't see anybody in the collecting area, so my presumption that this would be the last race of the day, I think, has come true. Over the line we go then. It is going to be Mark Taylor who takes the win. Who's going to grab a second place in the end? It is Michael Russell by 0.028 of a second. So let's call that a wheel length. It's going to be Graham Higlett's in 4th. So a very respectable ride from him ahead of Tony Perkin there. Next up, it's also all the 11As are the way to go here. It's Matt Hebb who comes across the line next, and he's just ahead of Ian Bain there. And it's first of the 11B class. That's Rich Ellis who manages to claim the gold medal for that particular class. And the 11D class is going to go the way of hang on a minute, I'm not going to get defeated by a piece of paper. Yes, I am.
Number 40 there, Richard Hand.